Morning.
Okay, welcome everybody.
Well, another late start, but
Technical
no problem.
difficulties, but let me get set up here. Sorry about the wait. Anyway, what webinar is this now? Okay, anyway, thank you everybody for attending. I know there was a wait. We had some technicalities. Both of our computers somehow went down. Well, our computers are working, but we couldn't get Zoom to work, or Facebook Live was still on while we're going through a rigmarole. But anyway, this is the National Building Expert speaking, Ask the Building Expert series. I'll go through this fast. The reason why we set up this whole series of webinars is to help building owners, condo associations, property managers, homeowners, and more. So the title is Asphalt Repair and Reconstruction 101, 102. So this webinar will help your roadway project from becoming a pain in the asphalt. So get your kicks on Route 66, but why isn't there any Route 66 in Hawaii? Anyway, I see people from all over the United States. Welcome. This is about asphalt roadway repair. We're going to talk about some good stuff this morning. First of all, the main issue is your inspection and specifications of your roadways. So the idea is to inspect first, then write the specification. So you might say, well, it's bad already. So call in contractors, take a look, call in engineers, if you work with engineers or construction managers, and let them give their own assessment of the road. How bad is it? Does it really need to be redone? How much more time do we have left? If you look at the image, this road is a shopping center parking lot. It's pretty beat up. There's really no way to save it. I'll talk more about saving roads as we progress. There's many books out there, asphalt mixture specifications, testing, and all that. So that's what you do first. You inspect, analyze, see what the outcome is based on your inspection or the contractor's inspection, and then have the contractor or an engineer that you hire or your construction manager write the specifications for you. The specs are important because then when you go out to bid, it's not contractors bidding on apples and oranges and lemons. Everyone's bidding on the same thing because you have the same criteria for them to use when they're making their proposal. Let's talk about roadway components. So while you're driving on the road, you don't really think, well, what's under my tires, right? And sometimes you hit a pothole, sometimes it's smooth. But if you look at this image, here's what we have. We have the asphalt surface, which is a minimum of 2 inches. And then you have the base course, which is under that asphalt surface, which is 4 inches minimum. And under that is a sub-base course, or your dirt or your soil. Okay, so normally, if we take it from the ground up, you have your dirt, and then you have base course on top of that, and then on top of your base course, you have your asphalt, okay, as your surface course. So basically, this is a simplistic format of how your roadway is constructed. Let's talk about crack sealant and pothole repairs. So you see the photo pothole. I don't need to tell you what a pothole is, but you may have driven around and hit some potholes that are caused by either loose gravel where water gets into the base course, and then it starts sinking or unraveling, and that creates a pothole. If you have cracks, the way to seal the cracks is use a crack sealant material, which is kind of like an asphalt base. But here's a heads up. if your government, and don't be fooled, if your government, such as a city, announces that, uh, you know, we need to be congratulated because we filled 1,000 potholes. Okay, well, good, but big deal, because the pothole repairs are not a permanent fix. So when the governmental agency says they filled potholes, all that is a Band-Aid solution. So the right way to do it is to resurface the road, either by a total resurfacing or by a overlay, and I'll talk more about that. So when the city says they filled all these potholes, well, good, it needs to be filled, but they really need to maintain the roads and do a better job. Okay. Now, what happens when you have a road that's not that bad and you want to protect it? Okay. You apply seal coating over it. And seal coating, if you have a good road to begin with, it doesn't have potholes, it doesn't have cracks and all that, and it's still in good shape, you can extend the life of the roadway by doing a seal coat system over it. And when that's done, you should get another 3 to 5 years life out of it. So instead of redoing the whole road, you do the seal coating. There's also what's called slurry coating, which is thicker than a seal coat, and it's really a thick layer. And most of the projects that I work on, I don't specify slurry coating. What's the difference, you might ask? Well, the seal coating is a thinner coating. The slurry is thicker with larger bits of aggregate. The slurry coating is basically best for streets with heavier traffic, such as airport tarmacs. And the slurry coating lasts about 5 to 10 years with a curing time of 8 to 10 hours. Seal coating lasts 3 to 5 years with a curing time of 2 to 4 hours. So if you're doing seal coating, basically, if it's a smaller section, the contractor does seal coating and it dries that same day. Okay. Depending on, and this is a rule of thumb, the seal coating lasts 3 to 5 years, but depending on the quality of workmanship, the materials that are used, and the area, that the location, the seal coating may only last 2 years. If it rains a lot, if there's a lot of different types of weather, like sunny, rainy, that has a lot to do with how long the seal coating is going to last. Okay. Now, what happens when, let's back up and talk about seal coating. What happens when there's a pothole or oil stains or damages, but they're in isolated areas in a parking lot? Well, you could have those isolated areas repaired where you dig out the oil stains or the pothole and you patch it with new asphalt. Then once that's done and you do all the repairs, then you can seal coat over the entire parking lot. So there's a way to fix areas, isolated areas, and then seal coat or slurry coat. Now, what happens if you're talking about the road's too far gone and we need to put in a new road? Okay, there's two trains of thought here and two types of construction. There's what's called a overlay, where you still maintain part of the road, which is the bottom part, as long as it's still solid, and you install maybe a 1.5 inch to 2 inch new asphalt on top of the existing old asphalt. Okay, so that's called an overlay, existing asphalt pavement. So you remove the top layer and you keep the bottom layer. Okay, and you only do this if the road is not that bad. So if the road is really bad and you see mud coming up and all that, that means that the bottom half of the roadway is too far gone and you're wasting your money by doing an overlay. The overlay wouldn't even work because then you have cracks and more potholes because of sub base. is damaged already. Okay, so that's the overlay. Now, what happens if you need to redo the whole road because it's too far gone, too bad? Okay, then it's called reconstruction or installing a new pavement, a new asphalt pavement. And that's removal of the entire road, okay? And that's the best method of repair. It's the most expensive, but it's the best method because you're getting down to the base, you're getting down to solid dirt, and you're basically installing a new road, and you have control over the grades and the drainage and all that. When you're doing an overlay, it's hard to control grade and drainage because you're still dealing with the bottom half of the existing road surface. Okay, now, just a little sidetrack. What kind of heavy equipment is used for an asphalt project? Well, you have a bulldozer, you have a milling machine, which removes the top layer, creates a rough groove surface. And it's also called a cold plane machine or a cold planer. And when asphalt people talk about, oh, we're going to cold plane, 2 inches off the top of the road, that means they're using the machine to remove the top layer of the road. Okay, and then you have sweepers, dump truck. There's a MTV, which is a material transfer vehicle. Then you have a asphalt paver or paving machine. And let me see, I think I have, the bottom photo. So basically, there's 2 main components in the paving machine. See, one of the components is like a tractor, which lays the asphalt and spreads it out to the required width. And then there's a screed that provides the required thickness and initial compaction. And then there's your compactor rollers. When we were kids, we used to call it a steam roller. And it's interesting to watch them going back and forth, compacting the new asphalt. They also use that to compact the base course. And if you don't use the roller, then you're not going to get a tight aggregate in your roadway. And then what happens is when it rains and all that, it starts breaking apart. So now, what are the components into this whole asphalt project? So in order to get a good solid surface that's properly that has positive drainage, okay, you got to make sure that your grades are set correctly and the drainage is proper. So basically, you want to be assured that there's proper slopes for positive drainage. As you can see in this photo, it's a entry to a building complex, and the road is sunken in right at the entrance, and every time it rains, there's a huge pond there, and that's not the proper construction. They should have made it so that the road slopes and drains out into the main road. Okay, so in this instance, the compaction was not proper, and that's why you have this dip. Also, some other components are speed bumps, curbs, wheel stops. So when you're working on an asphalt project and you get the bids from the contractor, make sure that all these things are included, or if it's not included, then you want to know why. Don't just say, well, we want you to resurface the road, and they give you a price, and later on you find out that the speed bumps are missing, the wheel stops are missing, the curbs aren't painted, and the contractor says, well, that wasn't in my contract to do that. So you make sure all these components are addressed, are listed. Also, if in the roadway there's these storm drains or drainage, you want to make sure that the contractor, when they're excavating, doesn't let a lot of water and aggregate base course material get inside the grading, because that's not good. Okay, so make sure you have all these covered, and then at the end of the job, you want to make sure you address the warranties. Okay, now an overlay versus reconstruction, the warranties are a lot different. Okay, and why? Well, um, if you're doing a reconstruction, you're basically getting a new road. Okay, on an overlay, you're only getting the top layer, so it's hard for the contractor to control. Like I said, the grade, the slope, drainage. There's only so much they can do. Now, if you look at the photo on the left, this is a brand new seal coating job where one of the residents' cars are leaking oil, and although the asphalt is an oil-based material, and leaking oil from the car will actually eat up the new seal coating material. So I always recommend that after you do your new roadway, even if it's just new seal coating, that you let all the residents know that they cannot have oil dripping from their cars. Okay, and in a condo, that's very important because the stalls are assigned to unit owners, and in a condo, you can actually find the unit owners and force them to clean it up or hire somebody to clean the oil stains. They cannot damage the road. If you look at the photo on the right, you can see ponding. We call this bird bath, and it looks like you could fit ducks in it rather than minor birds. But this is a situation where it wasn't a reconstruction. It wasn't new pavement. It was an overlay. And the initial grade was wrong already. And so when the contractor came in and did their overlay, they did the best they can. But because they're following an incorrect grade that was not sloped properly, this is what happened. So make sure you understand that. And there's only so much the contractor can do without digging up the whole road and starting from scratch. So basically, in a nutshell, that's what an asphalt road work is all about, the components. And I know I can get more specific, but I just want to make it easier for the lay person to understand, or property managers, or a homeowner. Now, that's kind of a fast webinar here, but let me let you know what you missed on previous webinars. We've given probably 20 something. I think this is my 68th webinar this year. Anyway, with the Ask the Building Expert series, we've given a whole bunch of different webinars, such as, I'll give you some titles: contractor licensing, building codes, permits, concrete spalling repair, cast iron drain piping, roofing, painting. We got reserve studies. We did one on hurricane ties. We did a whole bunch already. You can go to our website, askbuildingexpert.now.site, and watch the videos free. You want to download the PowerPoint, you can. We got free publications. I have a free book on building safety. You go to the website and go to the publication section. And we're also, looking for new topics too. Martin and I already planned our topics for next year already, but we're willing to listen to you if you have ideas on other topics you want us to cover. Now, speaking of other topics in the future, what's coming up, we have wood repair. So if you have a single family house or a townhouse, condo, any kind of building made of wood, we're going to cover the wood repair components, what you need to worry about, what you need to be concerned about, making sure the contractor does his job. And then after that, we have flooring and sound transmission issues, which mainly applies to high-rise condo buildings. There's a lot. Every week I get call or email about somebody living in a condo that it's noisy above and they don't know what to do. And normally there's rules and regulations about that to control the type of flooring and flooring material that's used in a condo project. If you look at the photo here, this is me maybe 3 years ago being interviewed on the Times Square Today show. And man, I'm looking at the photo and it's like, does this suit make me look fat? But actually, I was fat at the time. Since then, I lost weight. Martin and I have been on a good regimen, diet, and exercise. By the way, I got so into trying to get this webinar online. I forgot to introduce Martin, but it's Martin Pea. He's a back-end IT guy and level-headed guy. He makes sure that everything works properly, except it didn't quite work this morning, but it's not his fault. But anyway, we're on. The show must go on, so we made it happen. And I think at this time I can open it up for Q&A. If you're on Zoom, there's a chat feature or a Q&A feature that you can use to ask your questions or comments. And then if you're on Facebook Live, you're not on Zoom, so you have to go on Facebook and type in your questions or comments, and hopefully we'll be able to read them. If you're on Zoom and you want to ask your question live, use the raise hand icon, and then we can open up your microphone. Unfortunately, if you're on Facebook, you can talk to yourself. We won't be able to hear you. You just have to make a post. Okay, so questions or comments, now's the time. If you have the urge to email us. Here's our email address, lanceluke@hawaiibuildingexpert.com. Our phone number is 808-422-2132. Now, you have to use 808, otherwise we won't get your call, because I think the state changed that and you gotta plug in all those numbers. And then again, our website is askbuildingexpert.now.site, and we're happy to give these webinars for educational purposes and help everybody in the industry, or if you're doing any kind of building or construction work, understand all the components that go into these different types of projects, regardless of what type of project you're doing. You could do painting, roofing, concrete spalling repair, plumbing, electrical, and we're here to help. So take advantage. And right now I'll bring Martin on to see if there's any questions from our nice attendees on Zoom and those that are on Facebook. So Martin.
Yes, Lance, I'm here. And yeah, you can say it. The technical responsibility is mine. So I did delay our webinar today. So sorry to all.
Don't worry about that. We'll just
Zoom
deduct your pay.
And Facebook guys. Yeah. But we do have some questions that have come in, and gee, they're pretty lengthy and detailed. These. Let me start with the first one. It says, I got quotes from 4 paving contractors, and 2 of them tell me that my roads are bad and need to be dug up. And 2 of them say, not so bad, we can just seal coat over it. How do I know who is telling the truth?
Well, sometimes you don't really know until you hire a consultant. You hire a construction manager, or engineer, or somebody who has experience in asphalt road construction, and you ask them to come and take a look and let them be the judge, because a lot of times the contractor wants the bigger job and they say, well, dig up all your roads, and you might not need to do that, right? So and then on the other hand, I've seen contractors tell clients, oh, you want to save money? We can seal coat your all your roads for you, seal coat. And so the contractor says that, and the client calls me and says, can you check it out because we don't know. And I go and look and I'm like, oh, wait a minute, you can't seal coat this. You got potholes everywhere, failure, alligating, and I said, your whole road needs to be dug up. And they go, oh, well, why did the contractor say that? And it's, well, I don't know. Maybe they just wanted a fast job. But I said, you're wasting your $80,000 for seal coating because the thing's not going to last. Why would you seal coat over a pothole? Can you tell me that? And they're like, oh, I don't know. So I said, whoever the contractor was, I wouldn't use them. I wouldn't trust them because they just want in and out. They want to go take your money and run. Now, it's best to hire a consultant if you don't know. And where can you find one? You can look online for construction managers or construction engineers or asphalt consultants or people like that. Okay, but make sure the person that you hire is not connected to an asphalt paving company, right? If they are, then they may have a conflict of interest. Like if you called me to go look at your road, I'm not affiliated with any asphalt paving contractor. I'm not affiliated with any contractor. So I'm going to tell you the facts. I'm going to tell you the truth. So that's how you can tell. And sometimes it's confusing because I've seen clients call me where they give me the bids and I'm like, whoa, how come it's 80,000 to 400,000? Something doesn't make sense here. And then when I go through it, I go, oh, I know why. The cheaper guy wants to seal coat. The more expensive guy wants to dig up the whole road. But then, you know, what do you really need to do, right? What is the best practice in this situation? And every road is different. Every maintenance of roads are different. Some are worse than others. There could be one section of the road where you have to dig out and put new, and then the rest of the section is still good, and you seal coat that. I've had condominiums where, like townhouses, where you got main roads that are exposed to the weather, but then you have all these parking stalls, like carports that are under a roof. Well, when you do an asphalt reconstruction, you don't need to dig up all those good condition parking areas that are under the roofs, right? So you just do your high traffic areas. So there's a way to save money, but you're not saving money if you're going to seal coat over a bad road. So basically, that's the answer to the question. There might be more hard questions coming up, huh, Martin?
It could be. Let's see what the next one that was asked here. It says, during the first part of your presentation, you talked about inspection and specifications. I don't trust the contractors to do their own inspection and write their own work scope. What can I do in this situation?
Well, same answer as the first. If you don't trust the contractor or you feel that you want an independent third party to write the scope of work or the specifications, then you hire the consultant, construction consultant, building consultant, engineer, whatever term you want to use. But this is a third party person that has no connection to the contractor at all, writing independent specs. And basically, when you have those specs, you give it to the contractors to say, hey, bid on this. Then everybody's bid should be bidding on the exact same scope. And then you have apples to apples bidding, unless a contractor decides, oh, I don't do wheel stops. I don't paint. I just put the road in. You hire your own painter. Okay, then you got to wade through the bids and kind of look at the line items and see where it is. And if one contractor doesn't paint, then you go get a painting price from painters, and then you add that in and see if that contractor is still lower, then maybe that's the guy you want to use. But make sure you check their track record, if they're properly licensed, how long they've been in business, what kind of complaints they've had in the past, call up other previous clients. And I always ask, can you give me a list of like 6 clients that you worked for in the past that I can call and ask for a reference? Of course, they're going to give you the better ones, right? But that's better than not making the calls and finding out information. Okay, so be sure to hire experts, okay, hire consultants. Don't just go it alone between you and the contractor. Even if it's your own house and you're just doing your driveway, you might want to ask questions of other people to see if you're in the right ballpark. And do not work with guys who knock on your door and say, hey, you know what? I just did a job down the street. I get extra asphalt or I get extra seal coating. We'll go do yours for cheap. Okay. Those are the kind of guys that may not be licensed. And why would you want to use leftover materials anyway, just to save money? And I've seen some jobs where it's like half done and the guy takes off after he got paid, never to show up again, and you can't find him, right? So just be careful out there. Do we have any other questions?
Yes, we do. Here's one of a couple more. This one says, I live in a big townhouse project in Mililani, and the board hired a contractor to install brand new roads. Halfway through the project, the contractor issued a large change order for over $100,000 to install speed bumps and wheel stops. Did we get ripped off or what? Must be a local question.
Well, it's, let me see. In Mililani, there's pretty big townhouse projects with huge roads. I mean, you could have a townhouse project with 25 buildings, right? 25 separate townhouse buildings. And of course, there's a lot of roads, a lot of parking areas and all that. So, we're probably talking about a huge area. So as far as the cost, if you add up how many speed bumps or wheel stops you need, let's say you need one for every parking stall and they have 1,000 stalls, that adds up. So I'm not sure about the $100,000 cost. I mean, it could be valid, the cost, but the thing that I don't like I mentioned before, is why do you have a change order anyway? When you're going in before you start the project, make sure the contractor is going to cover these things. If you want speed bumps put in, if you want new wheel stops put in, if you want your curbs painted, all this stuff, that should be in your scope of work. So when the contract is bidding, it's there and then it's in the contract. Okay. If you don't have it listed and you say, oh, guess what? We decided we want to put that in later, and the contractor's already started the job. What are they supposed to do? They're going to nail you for additional costs because it's not free. Okay. And then if you wait too long, they're going to say, well, if I have to come back, it's going to be even more. You better do it while I'm here. So it may not be a ripoff, okay, if the contractor is charging you a normal fee for these building components, okay, but the thing that you don't like is a surprise later. But the contractor is going to say, oh, but you're the one that didn't include it in the beginning, and now you want it. And had you included it in a contract, it would have been cheaper, because now with this supply chain problem, it's going to cost me a lot more to get the materials in, and I have to special order it if you want it installed right away or whatever the situation is. So it's good that you verify the scope of work, and then also in concert with that, don't let the contractor just do the work and then pay him. You make sure you hire a consultant, even for a small job. And usually in the property management industry, they say that any job over $50,000, you need to hire a consultant or a construction manager. Okay? And why? Well, if you're spending $600,000, $1.2 million on an asphalt roadway repair, okay, that's a lot of money, and not have somebody inspect while they're doing the construction, while they're doing the road work, and then do the punch list at the end before they sign off. You're not really following general standard practice to be proactive. You're just taking a risk, because what happens if there's punch list items and there's problems? Okay, you want to be able to have somebody on your side to tell the contractor, hey, this isn't right. Because if you say, look, you missed the spot, or this isn't right, the contractor will say, well, how do you know? You're not the expert. Okay, I'm the expert. I've been doing this work for 30 years, so we're not fixing that. So you gotta get somebody at your side. Yes, it costs extra money, but in the long run, it's worth it, because if you're not the expert and you don't know how to approve contractors' pay requests, you're just writing checks up to $1 million with no oversight, and that to me is pretty scary. So interesting questions. We got any more?
Yes, Lance, I have one more here so far. Says, I am a condo owner in Makiki, and we got our road seal coated 9 months ago. I noticed the new coating is worn already and can see the old asphalt in some areas. Also, the paint for the stall lines and numbers are peeling off. Is this normal? And what can be done at this point?
Okay, first of all, it's not normal. Without looking at it, I can probably say that the material was probably too thin or inferior, and the workmanship was bad, and that's why it's kind of peeling off or getting worn down already. Plus that normally you use a tack coat that goes on. Well, you're supposed to sweep the road and blow it and making sure there's no dust. And then you apply a tack coat and then you put the seal coat on. Okay, that's the norm. If they didn't do that or use cheap materials or whatever, that's what's going to happen. There's normally a warranty, 1 year, 2 years or whatever. So I would say go check your paperwork for the warranty. Even without looking at the paperwork, I could say the job was bad. But if there's no warranty covered in the contract, then you're pretty much out of luck there, right? And why would you pay money to have the work done with no warranty? It doesn't make any sense. The thing about the paint is maybe they painted too soon. Maybe they didn't let the seal coating dry and they just painted it, and now the paint's not sticking on to the seal coating, which was wet at the time. Or maybe they used the wrong kind of paint. I've seen situations where they didn't use pavement paint or roadway paint, and they used some other paint, and the paint didn't last or didn't stick. So you have compounded problems here, and I would go back to the contractor and ask him what he can do about it. Okay, so there was no mention of talking to the contractor about it, but that's probably what you should do, because the job is bad. And if it's a reputable contractor, they would come back and fix the problem. I've had some situations where it was a huge roadway and somehow there were problems, and the contractor, I was working on that project, and the contractor just wanted to patch the little areas that were peeling off. And I went to inspect it. I said, oh, this thing looks like a hopscotch thing. I want you to redo, put new seal coating over the whole parking area. Of course, they didn't like it, but I told them, well, you're not going to get paid if you don't do it that way, because this is a new seal coating. We shouldn't be looking at the road and seeing squares and rectangles all over the place. That's not good. So anyway, we got any other questions on Zoom or Facebook?
I'm checking here, and I don't see any on Zoom, and let's see, on Facebook, no, nothing over there either. So it looks like that's it for now.
Okay, I just got a text from somebody. Oh, okay. They wanted to know the prices. Why? I don't know. Maybe they're planning on a roadway job. But so let me give you some prices here. So for seal coating, and this is this is like a rule of thumb. If it's a small job, it's probably going to be more. If it's a huge job with miles and miles of roads, economies of scale, it's going to be less. But rule of thumb, excuse me, for seal coating, and this is Hawaii numbers. This is not mainland. If you're tuning in from the mainland, it's probably going to be cheaper, but we'll see. So for seal coating, and these prices are based on a per square foot, okay, because that's the way the contractors price it out. Okay, so for seal coating, it's 65 to 85 cents a square foot for seal coating. For slurry coating, I don't recommend, but it's normally at least double what the seal coating price is. Okay, if you're doing an asphalt overlay, we're looking at about $3 to $5 a square foot. Okay, now if there's isolated repairs like potholes and oil stains and all of that, plan on $8 to $10 a square foot for those sections. Okay, and then do the overlay on the rest of the area. And then if you're talking about a brand new road, which is asphalt pavement or reconstruction, it's $5 to $8 a square foot. Okay, now this is in the private sector. If it's a union job or a state or federal job, these prices are going to be kind of out of whack. Okay, but this is based on my jobs that I work on for office buildings and condominiums in Hawaii. And condominiums consist of high-rise buildings, townhouses, and any other kind of area. So normally the bigger the area is, the cheaper the cost per square foot. So if you have a small driveway at your own house, of course it's going to be more expensive because it's just one small driveway, and you still got to pretty much bring the same equipment, right? So anyway, unless we have any other questions, that wraps it up. By behalf of Martin and I, we want to thank you for attending our webinar. Please go back to our website to watch other webinars that you may have missed, and I guarantee you they're pretty interesting. We have the webinars on demand. We have the PowerPoints that you can download and save for future reference. We may have some other reference materials too. And, we look forward to having you attend our next webinar. By the way, we're planning a holiday party in place of a webinar in December. And I still have to confirm the date yet, but there's going to be no boring lectures from me or information. There's going to be live music. We're going to do a sing-along. There's going to be games and prizes. It's going to be fun. It's not going to be too boring. The caveat is that our Zoom platform can only fit 50 people. So the first 50 people are the ones that are going to be able to get admitted. Other than that, you're going to be locked out, and then you can watch it on Facebook, but you may not be able to enter the contest or anything. So we'll see. All right. So once again, thank you for attending, and hope to see you at a future webinar. Thank you.
Okay, I stopped the